This is Political Paradigm. Welcome. I'm Terry Ikubi. Today my guest is a former aspirant for the seat of Governor of Adamawa State on the platform of the All Progressives Congress. He is also the chairman of the House Committee on Army, Honorable Abdulrazak Namdas. Honorable, welcome to Political Paradigm.
Thank you so much. Welcome.
It's good to see you again. I mean, like I told you earlier, since after the elections, no one's seen you.
Yes.
I think just your family members have been in contact with you. You've been...
No, we've been busy at the national scene, you know.
Oh, that's great.
We've been moving now the campaign. I became member of the PCC. I was the secretary of the logistics committee. So you could see that that assignment entails that wherever the campaign train will be, you have to be around. So that was some of the reasons.
Absolutely. It's nice to see you again. Last time I had a conversation with you, you were an aspirant. You wanted to be governor of Adamawa State. Sadly, you didn't scale through the primaries. We'll talk in detail about that. Well, let me begin by asking you about your thoughts on the Adamawa governorship election. You saw how that played out.
Yes. Well, you know, I am of the APC, and actually, even when I lost that election at the primaries, I was the first to support the Senator Aisha Binani, because in an election, as a politician, we should understand that you can always win and can also lose. So in the spirit of sportsmanship, I accepted to support her. And in the elections, I think my problem with what has happened in Yola is that more attention is focused on the declaration made by the INEC commissioner, and other aspects of it is not being looked upon. And as far as I'm concerned, the election has come and gone. But if you are to look at what happened in the final analysis on the election day, you cannot use the scene of the INEC commissioner Udu and visit it on Binani. You cannot use the scene of Binani and visit it on Udu either. What I'm trying to say here is that we were the one that passed the Electoral Act. And it is common knowledge that, look, the INEC commissioner does not have the right to declare, to make declaration as far as the governorship election is concerned. It is only at the national level where the chairman of INEC, who is also the returning officer for the presidential election. And of course, in the state, it is the returning officer that will make declaration. But my problem, Terry, is that aspect of the INEC commission making declaration, if it is wrong, the law will punish him as it is. But the man has made a serious claim on an allegation. He said that Binani won that election. As far as he is concerned, as the highest official of INEC from Adamawa State, in Adamawa State, he has worked with EOs across the 21 local governments, and therefore, Binani won the election. So if you are looking at what transpired, whether his declaration was right or wrong, that is a different thing altogether. But what is it about the claim he has made that Binani has actually won the election?
But was it right or wrong? His declaration, was it right or
wrong? Of course it was wrong.
Absolutely.
Also was wrong.
So in talking about the claim that he made, you'd ask yourself the question of, in what position would he be to be better informed than the returning officer who collated those results from the various returning officers in the local government areas?
You see, there's something people need to understand. Before, although he is not supposed to make a declaration by the Electoral Act, but in trying to create fairness, INEC has deployed national officers to assist, please listen to the word, assist the INEC commissioner and to be able to have a free and fair election. That means if you get to Yola, whether as an appointee, as a national officer from Abuja, you are not supposed to work in isolation. You are supposed to work in collaboration with the INEC commissioner. To say that the highest person in that office that does not have information, I think it is wrong. You understand the point? He must have certain information. The only thing I worry about is that if I were in his position, if I sense that somebody is about to compromise the election, all I will need to do is to do a report to the national headquarters, if I am in his position. But he has not done that. I don't know why, because he is a lawyer, he is a very aged person, I think he is experienced. And for us, or for me, as a member of APC, I feel that his role has actually bundled our chances. We will have been in the government house by now. Because if you have the conviction that this election will be won by Binani, and that because you are a very upright person, you don't want anybody to interfere or to compromise the situation, I would have expected that he would have guarded that thing jealously. You understand the point? To the end, so that somebody that you think is about to win an election do not, out of mistake, lose out also. So my point is that he has worked with EOs, all the electoral officers across the 21 local governments. If he had issues, it was just about 2 or 3 days to the elections, if he had issues anyway. But as far as I'm concerned, having been the head of INEC, he must have good information about what the activities in INEC.
You know what's interesting is till date, he has not brought out these details that you say he is privy to or would be in a better position to have, because clearly the law as you enacted it as a member of the National Assembly does not say that his word would pass as anything that would declare anybody a winner. It is the returning officer whose information is vital, meaning if he has anything contrary to what the returning officer would declare, he would go through processes. He did not do that. Till date, that has not been done, despite the claims that he says that Senator Binani won that election.
No, that is why it should be in the court. I don't expect, we are very impatient people, because people expect that whatever information he has should be on the pages of newspaper.
But your party hasn't gone to court to contest that election.
They contest the election, why? The governorship election tribunal, I think they have not started sitting yet.
Okay.
I think the National Assembly are the ones handling it. So we are in court. Now we are going to go to court. In fact, if Binani wouldn't go to court, I think we are not going to take it lightly with her. For a senior official of INEC to say, you have won an election, and you can't sit at home and say, okay, it's over. It's not over, because we have to pursue. But the point I'm trying to make is that when the time to go to court, because this is not going to be public opinion any longer, it's going to be facts. And the lawyers that have been engaged, if there's any judicial review, whatever happens, it has to go before the courts, and the courts will produce. But since we have that confidence that the INEC man said that she has won the election, there is something he knows that me and you and I wouldn't know. But that can only be determined by the courts, and we will follow that.
But beyond his statement,
yes,
you were on ground.
Yes.
So were members of your party and as observers as well.
Yes.
What did you see that would suggest or would inform your position that you won that election?
Listen, generally, even the vote difference is to tell you that if she tells you that she won the election, you won't dispute that. But what's the difference? 30-something thousand. That's the difference.
That's almost what we've seen or what we saw across the country in the concluded elections, which we'll come to, which many say that is a watershed in the history of the country as far as elections are concerned.
Yes.
But then some persons say that, yes, the margin is close. Binani would have won that election one way or the other, but there are those who say that it's not true, that the North is ready for a female governor yet. And we had this in the public space at the time while the preparations for the supplementary elections were ongoing, that the people of Adamawa State are not ready for a female governor.
You see, this is just opinion. These are not facts. When I contested for the governorship, I went for the primary, I contested with Binani. One of the reasons that emboldened me, and I felt that, look, I was going to make it. First, I felt that, look, Binani was a woman. She's from the north. I'm from Adamawa State. I don't see her having a chance to defeat me, given the fact that I have also won elections severally, and I was once time even a deputy governorship candidate.
And she's a woman.
She's a woman. So I felt that, look, she was not my problem, actually. My problem should be another person, not Binani. But behold, she won the election. And truly I lost. So, I mean, I am a realist.
You graciously conceded.
I consider, because this is a reality. I was seated there when the election was taking place. I was seated there. When the counting was even done, I was seated there. And I know that nobody went to manipulate. The people that went and cast their vote, somebody you even talk to and you think he is with you, you realize later that he's not with you. But that is politics, because that was how we won the elections before. So, for her to defeat me, I have to accept the fact that, look, you have been defeated. Because you have to be realistic in life.
And that the people have begun
And
to
they have made their
accept
choice.
a woman.
So if
in
the
the
people have
saddle.
accepted that, look, she has won the election and she is a woman, and if you're giving her that mandate, and I have been defeated, because I have to agree, till now, some people don't believe that they've been defeated. I agree, they have been defeated. So what is making you believe that she can't win the general election? So the position is, what is you think in your mind is different from reality. So that's my position. As far as I'm concerned, she has done her best.
You know what? It's interesting that you speak like this about the process of the election, because I know that in the last interview I had with you before the primaries, you were concerned and you felt that powerful individuals in Abuja may want to influence the primaries. Yes. And you said instead that it would be good for the party to allow someone that is powerful and strong enough to contest against Umar Fintiri, and that the rest of the aspirants should come together and support that person, then you have a formidable front against them. Yes. So you agree that the process was free, fair, the primaries, and no influence from Abuja?
Well, what I'm trying to say is that whether there was, you can't, in politics, even when you're doing a class monitorship, if politicians are involved, they can always have their way of influencing it. But what I'm saying is that people were not forced. If somebody from Abuja is able to convince a group of people to go for Binani, and they went for Binani. If somebody convinced that they should go for Nuhu Badu, and they went for Nuhu, but what I'm saying is that as far as I was concerned, I had my agents, I was right inside that place, elections took place, and the woman won. The best I can do is to re-strategize. If I want to come out tomorrow, what should I do? But let me agree that this, but normally we have issues, and because truly speaking, what caused part of the reasons that we didn't have this Umabolmi vote is that the Adamawa APC is subdivided into some kind of groups, and A is against B, B is against C, C is against D, and unfortunately we are all APC. You understand the point? It's not as if we lost to PDP. If we were all speaking one voice, I can assure you we will have won that election with, but because there was issues. But again, let's allow the courts to run their thing. Well, let's see what happens.
Well, now that the election has been concluded and we have Governor Fintiri for another 4 years,
yes,
you had your concerns about how he ran the state. But in moving forward, in the interest of the state, pending the outcome of the tribunal, because I know you would go
You are
there.
now talking, because you said 4 years.
Pending the outcome of the tribunal,
yes,
what do you expect him to do?
For now, whether we like it or not, he has been pronounced as the governor-elect, and by 29th of May, he will be inaugurated as the governor. Whether I like it or not, he is our governor, and we will still be answering to him as the leader of the state. But the most important thing is that when you become a leader, first thing you need to do is that make sure that you don't overheat the system. You don't overheat the system. You know that the way you won this election, at least there are some hiccups. It's like when the aircraft takes place, sometimes we have reached turbulence. Let us the turbulence not get too much because it will crash land. So knowing that very well, knowing that we have divisions in the state, both in PDP and APC, but more of APC having divisions, he should concentrate and continue with the governance he is doing, carry everybody on board, and make sure that the security and peace of our state is paramount. So that don't do anything to create more crisis, because the peace, you live in the Northeast, you know what happened in the last 7, 8, 10 years, where challenging issues like Boko Haram, kidnapping, or what have you. So at least we have reduced the tension. So I think anybody has an opportunity should please be very careful.
So let's take that to the governorship, to the general election. You were one of those who were the very first set of lawmakers to openly state your position and whom you're supporting. While some were sitting on the fence, you stated clearly that you were in support of Senator Bola Tinubu for president.
Yeah.
He won the election. So I'd like to get your thoughts on the outcome of the presidential election.
Yes, first, as you rightly said, from day one, I'm a politician that states his mind directly. That's why when you asked me whether I lost the election, I agree that I've lost an election during the primaries. And the same thing happened. When you asked me that question, from day one, I was ready for Tinubu from day one, because I've worked with him in the Action Congress of Nigeria, ACN. In fact, I started from AC to ACD to ACN. And at that time, I was a deputy governorship candidate in 2011 election. We were defeated by Murtala Manyero Nyako with about 60,000 votes. And yet, we pursued the matter up to Supreme Court. Just to know, our supporters will also know that, look, we have no problem. So I know Beletole, we have worked very well closely together. And the election that has brought him up is one of the best elections that has ever been conducted in Nigeria. You know, when people lose election, they will tell you this is the worst election. But I can tell you that this election is also one of the best, because you can see situation, people, even the presidential candidate, lost his own state. It's unthinkable. A lot of people governors lost their states. So many governors who were aspiring to be senators lost, over 7 or 8 of them lost their seats. So if there was any manipulation, these guys will have been affected. So the truth of the matter is that this election is one of the best. And people must learn to accept defeat. That's the problem with Nigerian politicians. I was shocked when somebody would tell you that, look, even somebody who doesn't have 25% in 24 states tells you that he has won the election. He's in court today, that this election he has won, he should be given the money. I mean, how do you do that? You see, you can see how Binani is patient. If you have bring this Binani scenario to national level now,
well, you know,
how would it have been?
You know, the argument for those who say that this election could have gone either way,
yes,
in either of the three, any of the three ways, yes, is because of the margins. And when you talk about members, the adjustments or perhaps the outcomes of this election and how some persons, some governors couldn't come back, there was a factor responsible for that. It's called the Labour Party.
Yeah, this Labour Party, in each election, every election has its own issues. If you contest election today, what we are going to get is going to be different from what we get if we are contesting tomorrow. I want you to agree that APC won election with a national appeal. When I say national appeal, we got the north, we got the south. Even in the east, we had some votes. You understand the point? Now, that tells you that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a person that is being loved across the country. And if you look at Labour Party, 90% of the votes, if not 95%, came from the east. I agreed that 1 or 2 states in the north was for Labour Party, but the majority was from the east. And if you look at the trend of the votes, you go to one state in the east, you say that, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party has about 300 and something votes. You see APC with 10,000 votes or 7,000 votes. I mean, you know that something is also amiss. But we are not complaining. The most important thing is that you always learn each kind of election. So agreed, we have won the election. They have lost the election. They should re-strategize. They should go to court, no problem. But Terry, Adamawa Bola Tinubu has been in politics for several years. He has tutored a lot of people, promoted. If you go to the National Assembly where I belong, even without him contesting, if you ask who amongst you wants to go for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I can tell you in that House of National Assembly, in our party, APC, I can tell you 70 to 80% of them will go willingly because he has met a lot of people. Not only in Lagos, he has hand in Adamawa, he has hand in Katsina, he has hand in Sokoto, he has everywhere. But some of these politicians, they will wait. They will not see their hands until when it is election period. They have not tutored people. They have not mentored people. When the man was busy, and this is the first time he's contesting for presidency, and you can see what happened. People just came because they came at the right time. There are people he has assisted. He helped. So, my brother, I think he has invested in politics and it's very positively. Nigerians are looking for somebody who knows the way, that local palace, follow person who Sabi road. And the man Sabi road. And what is the road? When he held sway in Lagos, people were not looking at the character. They know that the character is that he was able to deliver. That's one of the best characters he has. He got the right people. He made some commissioners until today. Some of the commissioners he worked with are still active in national politics. So we are looking for such persons. People are trying to distract us from the reality on ground. Nigeria is faced with a lot of challenges. I'm chairman House Committee on Army. I have toured Nigeria. I've been to Lagos, been to every places, been to the north, to the east, to solve challenges. So here is an opportunity that we have somebody that has the credentials to solve the problem because he has witnessed it before in this period. So don't allow people to distract us from this. For now, we are praying in the next 2 weeks he is going to be sworn in. And let's see what he will bring on board. And I believe that it's going to impact positively.
You know, for many Nigerians, they are worried as to how he can govern with the controversies surrounding him and the level of division in the country and expectations of the next president. I'm curious to find out from you what you expect from him and how he should go about governance in such a way that it will endear Nigerians to him.
First, I want you to appreciate the fact that this is not a novice. This is not somebody that you just elected you on the street to become the office, to be president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He has credentials. He has served before, and you have seen his credentials. So you are not bringing somebody that you have not tested. He has not been president before, I agree. But he was a governor. He was a senator. And don't forget, the ACN that he brought, he was one who made sure that he nurtured AD in those times. And then nurtured ACN. You understand? Provided opportunity for people to even contest elections. In my state, Asoji Bola Ahmed Tinubu gave the opportunity to the likes of Atiku Abubakar, former vice president, to fly the flag of AC at that time. And this was a party that he nurtured. The same thing with Malam Nuhu Ribadu, from my state too. So you can imagine these are people that are not fair-minded. So you can see he knows where to go. I must tell you that the first thing he knows that there are divisions, religious lines, zonal lines. People will tell, look, we vote based on religion and what have you. Now that he has won the election, I think he is going to focus on how to bring Nigerians together. People must not be thinking from the perspective of the religion you come from. Even from his appointments, I can tell you that the appointment he is going to release, I have not discussed with him. I have not had an opportunity to see, but the belief that I have in him, from when you discuss with him, you know that he is a true Nigerian. He has even said that, look, he wouldn't mind bringing PDP person on board. So you can see he knows what to do. But that will be based on competence. If you are that competent, he will bring you on board. And don't forget, people should understand that it's a 4-year period. You know, people expect that if you are sworn in on 29th of May, all the magic should happen. By on the 30th, something should change. No. He's going to rule and begin to analyze and begin to see where he can adjust and where he can improve. Well,
let's turn to the National Assembly now. You will not be in the 10th. House of Representatives. That's the sacrifice you made trying to run for governor of Adamawa State. Do you have any regrets?
No. In fact, if there was anything, I was prepared not to come back to the 10th Assembly, to National Assembly. The reason is that they say, quit the stage when the ovation is loudest. In my state, with all humility, I am, if not the best, one of the best lawmakers produced in that state. I have received several awards in this respect. And especially in my constituency, I would say with all out of fear that I'm one of the best too. But, you know, sometimes you have to step aside so that you allow other people to come and also partake. It is from there that they'll begin to know that, look, X and Y did their best. So I think I have no regrets at all.
I think that you would be very unbiased with regards to the next question I'm going to ask you, and it's about the leadership of the 10th House of Representatives specifically. Let's begin with that because that's where you are. How do you react to the developments surrounding your party and the leadership of the 10th House of Representatives?
Well, you said I'm not going to be in the 10th Assembly, but, you know, I contested speakership before with Femi Bajabiamila, with the likes of Betara, Bago. We were all in the same camp. I had to step down because my party said the Senate President must come from the Northeast. And if you are a smart person, you should know that there's no way in Nigerian politics where you have the Senate President and the Speaker all from the same zone. If you are even the best in the world, it's not possible because in Nigeria, apart from capacity, there are certain factors that will follow. In my view, the party has the right to zone. We are not independent candidates. We all came to a party. But I think my concern is that it was not very fair to say the North Central is not captured in the power sharing formula. You understand? You can see the Northwest has about 2 presiding offices. The North Central doesn't even have anything. So if I were in their position, at least something should be given to the North Central. I will not say this is the office or that is the office, but in terms of sharing, so that some people should not feel aggrieved. For example, in the Northeast, in 8th Assembly, it was Dogara. In the 9th Assembly, we have the Senate President. So you understand the point. But now there's North Central, they are out. So they should be given something, whatever thing they want to do. And the mere fact that the zoning also, there was reactions over, we have G7 or G something of candidates that feel that, look, we are not happy with it. Then it means that our party should also listen to them.
You know, beyond not being happy with it,
Yes.
it was a lack of consultation from your party. Yeah. Just like everyone else, they heard the news. And they wondered how, as candidates or aspirants, they would not be consulted by the party before the party would microzone, which is a major problem among members of the House of Representatives. In fact, the National Assembly in general, microzoning those positions is the concern. They believe that it should have been, if you would zone to a particular region, let it be open to people from that region.
If you see the release, the press statement coming from the party, they even said that there is need for more consultation, to be fair to the party. From the release that they've gotten a letter, and however, they agreed to the zoning, there is room for consultation. They've not closed the doors. And that was why even the aggrieved candidates went to the party. And you will look at the response of the party, say, look, we will listen to you, we will come back to you, we will see what we can do.
So my point is, based on what your people have said, at no point were they all called together, sat with, to arrive at this kind of conclusion. There was no conversation with them. It seemed as though the party wanted to act autocratically by taking a decision. And while you say that the party says there's room for improvement, names have been called. In fact, the Speaker of the House of Representatives has made it clear that this is who the party wants. This is who we want. And this is not a case of a possible reconciliation. He says that this is who the party wants.
You see, this is politics, my brother. This is politics. Everybody has an interest here. If the Speaker, who is already the sitting Speaker and has an interest, we should not, they should allow him to express his interest. If you don't like, you do something different. You understand? I don't want people to crucify the Speaker for saying he has anointed X and Y. Because certainly, if you are in that position, you wouldn't mind anointing somebody. But probably the way the way it was anointed, that's why people are getting worried. But let me tell you just the truth. I would think our party should discuss with two people, as far as I'm concerned. All this, that. There are two key people that matter in this House of Representatives. That is Betara and the Deputy Speaker. You understand the point? Because they are in the G7. And this Betara and the Deputy Speaker also have a large control over a large number of members. And people should not look at the outcome of an election because they've not been in the House before. It is not just about bringing in a speaker. Bringing a speaker, even when you win the election, is just one item. The most important thing is stabilization and the capacity to hold on to the House for a number of years to the end of the tenure. Because whoever is, even APC itself and any other people that are endorsing you to become speaker, the idea is that when you win and when you assume office, you should be able to work with them so that their policies and programs will not suffer. You understand the point? So for us to have a rancor-free House of Representatives or National Assembly, there's nothing wrong for us to still discuss with some of these vibrant candidates and see that at the end of the day, one person will be nominated to contest. If you allow two people to contest, then there could be a problem. And one thing people don't understand is that, because I have tested that before, I work with the two speakers, so I know what it is. On that day that the election will be conducted, people will not be there. Mostly it is the members. What will transpire on that day, only God knows. You get my point? Because just I was very confident that I was going to win the primaries, only for me to lose. Because these are some of the issues. So I think there's need for our party to also open up. Since they've agreed, they've met with the Senate counterparts and the House of Representatives counterparts, there's need for us to still do an thorough discussion and engagement with some of these candidates. And I mentioned specifically these two candidates, Betara and the Deputy Speaker, Wase. There's need for us to talk and then Tajuddin, put them together. Let's have an agreement as to what to do. Because it will be wrong. For me, I wouldn't like a situation where a speaker that will emerge as if it is not the
choice of the people.
The choice of the people. You get my point. So that will be a problem. So, and I don't want to say, okay, I supported.
But is it not too late now? I mean, I think there a lawmaker who spoke with me on grounds of anonymity said that the speaker's position was too harsh and it may have closed the doors to reconciliation.
When reality stares you in the face, you will always. We are politicians.
The speaker.
We don't close the door at all.
The speaker insinuated that he was betrayed by one of the candidates now, whom he gave a juicy position. Anyone who's covered Parliament knows that we're talking about their preparations committee. You've mentioned Betara's name. So with that kind of statement out in the open, what are the chances of reconciliation? Who should lead this reconciliation?
I can tell you that there's nothing abnormal in that because this is politics. I can tell you that both Betara himself, was a speaker currently, all of them will like to have Asiwaju have a good run in the next 4 years. I can tell you that. So by the time they sit together, people will get to see reason why. In the 9th Assembly, John Day was in our group. He wanted to be the Deputy Speaker. He insisted that he was going to contest. And at the point of nomination of Deputy Speaker, John Day stepped down. How he became the Deputy Speaker after the election of the Speaker himself. So you can see, that's what I'm telling you is that even on the day of the election, something can still happen. We cannot close our doors. And we cannot allow our party members begin to fight.
Especially because you're outnumbered by the opposition.
Yes, that is one. Two, we wouldn't like also the opposition can have their own agenda too. So we are very careful. We will accept to work with them. Once you emerge, when the leadership emerges, people will go back to their parties. There are certain motions that will come on the floor of the House that will, this is a minority thing. PDP will sponsor it. And whatever APC says, the PDP will say, no, the majority will come together. And there are things that, APC will feel, this is going to affect us.
There are rumors that an agreement was reached in 2019 as to who would succeed Femi Gbajabiamila as Speaker. Are you privy to that agreement?
I'm not privy to that, truly. And even if there was something like that, I think we should be realistic. People should understand that when you contest election and you lose or you win, there are issues that comes with it. Immediately you emerge Speaker. The day you release appointment of committees, you have two things. Some will be angry with you because there are people who have been lobbying to be committee chair on X and Y. Suddenly you did not give them. So you have problem to handle. There are people who didn't expect, but they got it. So you can see, all this thing was that people must be very, very careful and sensitive. It's not just about winning election, becoming Speaker. You must have the capacity. Dogara ran for 4 years. Femi ran for 4 years. But it was not the same in the 7th Assembly. You understand the point? So given the scenario today, this is the first time we are having minority becoming greater majority, or greater minority as they say it.
Greater majority.
Greater majority as they say it. That is not an issue. It's something you can't joke about it.
Are you aware that the standing rules of the House has been changed with regards to how the Speaker will be elected? Are you aware that it would be an open system where members have to stand up and state clearly who they will vote for?
You see, when we had that system in the 8th Assembly, people came up with stories that the system is changed. It's not true. We ended up doing the, close balloting. It's not open.
No, that amendment was done on the 25th of July, 2019. It's in your votes and proceedings. You're not aware of it.
I'm not aware of it.
Well, I shared a document with you because it's raising quite some controversy now, and there are questions as to when this happened and why it happened. But while I look for that document, let me ask you a question. What is the essence of an open system of voting, which some are clamoring for?
I think when people talk about open system, there are fears that they want to see monitor people who is voting for who and who is voting for who is not voting for who. I think this is what I think the people are trying to achieve. But National Assembly members are very credible people. Many of them have been in that house for 12 years, 16 years. Some of them 2 terms. Some of them and some of them had positions, commissioners. So they are very responsible people. So I can tell you that if you allow a closed system, they will still do the right thing. And in my opinion, I think that should be the best.
You know, I'd share this with you. It says here that every member shall name clearly the candidate of his choice. Maybe you might want to look at this. This is the votes and proceedings from July 25, 2019. This is just about a month, a little over a month after the emergence of Femi Gbajabiamila as Speaker. So quite a number of members say they are unaware of this. And it's interesting that even you are not aware that has been changed.
I don't want to claim that I'm aware. You know, that's why I tell you that I'm always been sincere. I'm not aware of this. But I can't tell you if it was done clearly, fairly, and the process that was done, then there's nothing anybody can do about it. But we have to investigate.
Absolutely. You know, there are some who fear that the open system of voting, where a member has to stand up and name the candidate he wants to be Speaker, would be vindictive.
Yes, that's what I told you, that this is the position of some. I agree with you, but I still believe, in my opinion, let us do secret balloting, because we emerged through a secret balloting from the polls. What the president, whoever got elected in that National Assembly, including the president, the governors, were elected through a secret ballot. There was a cubicle. All you needed to do was to go there and cast your vote. So I think if that was done and clearly, and leaders emerged through the process, why is this that we need to change it at this level? I think we don't need to change it. But if the process has been there, we will try to confirm.
If you were to be in the 10th Assembly, who would be your choice for Speaker?
I don't want to come out clearly to say.
All right. I was here with Onofio Kluka,
Yes.
and he said that Tajuddin Abbas will make a great Speaker.
Yeah, let me tell you first. I work with Tajuddin. He holds a PhD, my brother. So he is almost a 4th-timer, I think so. And he knows the rudiments. He can do the job. Petra is the 5th-timer. He can do the job. Diaz is the 5th-timer. He can do the job. But because I am not in the system today, although our opinion also matter, we have colleagues in the National Assembly, we can also bring some votes. You understand the point? But before I take such a position, I still insist that my party should have a dialogue with these candidates. You understand? Before we now take a final decision. Look, if this cannot be resolved, then this is what we are going to do. Because we still have time. People have always forgotten that on 29th of May, it is only the president, the vice president, and governors and deputy governors that will be inaugurated. The national, and this same president will issue proclamation for the inauguration of the National Assembly. We still have time. That means 2 weeks after the inauguration, we still have time. So why rushed? Let's take our time. We will not miss this point. We will have the speaker of our choice. We have the speaker that all the parties, including the candidates that are grumbling, we will still work together to see that we resolve our issues, or else we will be seen not to have done our jobs.
We're looking at the 10th Assembly, and the Speaker had talked about the need for Tajuddin Abbas to build on the achievements of the 9th National Assembly. What are the achievements of the 9th National Assembly? Because there are those who question how effective this National Assembly has been, and the leadership of the National Assembly hinges its success on perhaps the number of bills it passed and the number that was assented to by the President. But how else would you assess this National Assembly with regards to serving the people who put them in that position?
Truly speaking, there are a lot of achievements. This particular Ninth Assembly, they've been able to work closely with the executive. It reduces a lot of tension. People talked about rubber stamp, but whether it's the stamp itself is not the story. The most important thing is that we have three arms of government: the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. And they are bound to work in harmony. Once we don't work together and everybody goes in separate ways, and there is going to be a problem. This very particular assembly did their best. And again, in this assembly, when the president was complaining that in the 8th assembly, the budget of a particular year will be passed 6 months after. But this particular National Assembly, if the president comes with the budget in September, you can be guaranteed that in December, that particular budget is passed. So it's an achievement. It's a very good achievement. Whether that budget is implemented or not, but for the National Assembly, you can't blame them for not passing the National Assembly. I could remember in the 8th Assembly, I was the spokesperson of the 8th Assembly. Each time the president assents to the bill or assents to the bill of the appropriation, he will always complain that there are a lot of this, there are a lot of that delay and what have you. But it is not done here. So I think it's an achievement on its own. So people should not look at it as if Bajia has not done, he has done so much.
In assessing the National Assembly or the House of Representatives, let's assess you as well. You, in the past 4 years, have been chairman of the House Committee on Army. And it's interesting that you would sit in that kind of position at the time when the country was going through perhaps the highest security challenges had to go through in its history, apart from wars, of course. Well, let me ask you, how would you assess the fight against insecurity during your time as chairman of the House Committee on Army?
You see, I have worked with 3 different Chief of Army staff. In the course of this job, we have to live with other committees. We have come to realize that apart from the brutal force of asking for the army to solve all issues, when Nigerians feel that, look, that all problems should be solved by the army, people forgot that it's only the police that is surrounded with the internal security of resolving issues internally. Army is just to come and assist. But even when 2 people are fighting, people will wish that you call army to solve the problem. You militarize the system. So I think this is one area that I hope it should not be looked upon. Nigeria should allow, and the incoming government should give opportunity to the police. They should be well equipped, well trained, that they can be able to handle certain issues. In those days, we used to have mobile police. We used to have mobile police. And these mobile police were capable of handling things that the army could handle. But today, because they've not been empowered, these mobile police are no longer there. So this is about the most important thing that I want to mention, and it's very important that especially for you as media men to follow, is that there is what we discovered in the course of our job when we had engagement with Niels and Konrad Adenauer Foundation, a German-based organization. We found out that there is what we call overlapping mandates. What is overlapping mandates? The Constitution empowers both the army, the police, and the civil defense to do the same thing. And I give you an example. Section 215, subsection 3, and then of the Constitution of the Federal Republic as amended, and then section 217 also of the Constitution, and then of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, including Section 8, Section 1 of the Armed Forces Act, and Section 4B of the Police Act 2020, all empowered these 3 agencies on power of safety, public safety, and public order. Meaning that if there's any problem now outside here, the civil defense has the power to come and arrest anybody and try them. In fact, the civil defense has the power to arrest, they say, without even a warrant. Go and check their section 27, section 1, A and B. They have that right. Now, if they are doing so and a policeman comes, the policeman says, look, based on section 4B of the Police Act, look, I am empowered to also take this position. So you can see there's going to be inter-agency rivalry because everybody is projecting. That's why in the National Assembly, we have identified some of these bills and have sent it, passed it. We are even hoping that the president, before he will leave this 2-3 days from office, he should assent to those bills. So that what? There should be, when there is an operation, who is supposed to be the lead agency? Which agency should be the one to lead? Or else you continue to have a lot of problems. And I give another example of another overlapping mandate. The Nigerian Navy is in charge of waters. But the Constitution of Nigeria, Section 214, has also empowered the same police on harbors, waters, and railways. Meaning, once there is any issue in the waters, the police have the right. So by the time everybody is quoting right, there is overlapping of issues. And then inter-service level will come into being. So but we have been able to identify 6 bills to reduce the friction among agencies. So that when they go on an operation, who is supposed to be the coordinator or the lead agency in this position? Do you understand what I mean? Or else you find out everybody feeling that, look, the army is taking over, I will not be subservient to X. But it depends on the operation. If it's an internal operation, there are things that should be handled by the police. There are things that, if it's on the border, there are things that should be handled either by the immigration or by immigration or by customs. So depending on what is the operation on ground. So these are the things that I feel that we have done so much, because all the laws are passed by the National Assembly. For example, the Act. It is only the civil defense that is statutory, that is based on the Act of National Assembly of 2007. But as far as the armed forces is concerned, they have both the constitutional powers and the statutory powers. Meaning that you have Armed Forces Act that still empowers them. Then we have Constitution that mentions them specifically, that this is their role. So you need to sieve out some of these roles so that there shouldn't be clashes. Anytime we are also doing laws, that is why it's critical during consideration of report that members of National Assembly should be seated so that we don't always come out with reports that will continue to conflict with other agencies. So this is something that I think.
How about with regards to funding the military? Because it's been fingered as one of the reasons why insecurity was a challenge or has been a challenge in the country. Do you think that funding has been a problem? But while you talk about whether or not it's been a problem, recall that there have been calls for the spendings of the military to be scrutinized.
There's nothing wrong with that. Agencies of government, ICPC, FCSC, they've been doing their job. Let's allow them to do their job. But the most important thing is to be fair to the Buhari administration. He has funded the security agencies to a reasonable extent. But it's still not good enough. The reason is that, for example, since I came into as chairman Army, the Army has never had any capital expenditure beyond 30 billion. The highest 31 or 32 billion. And what is 32 billion with the current situation we have? Nigerian Army has 138 barracks. Well, even if you are to take the 30 billion and just give it to the barracks, it's a kind of problem.
Since you're chairman House Committee on Army, if you say that for a calendar year, the Army hasn't had a capital budget beyond 30 billion.
Well, that's the truth. It's very fair.
How much has the Army proposed that has brought the figure down to 30 billion?
You know, the problem with what they propose is that they will never get what they propose because that's what we call the envelope system. The envelope system because the budget is not prepared by the National Assembly, it's prepared by the executive. It's only laid in the National Assembly before we take ownership of this budget. So before they come, the budget office must have pegged down individual agencies that this is what you are supposed to come. Whether you brought 50 billion, this is what we can be able to give you based on the income that we are generating. You understand the point? So for the past 4 years, they have never gotten anything beyond 30 billion.
And you believe that they should be taken off the envelope system?
And no, we even initiated a new bill. And that's my concern. And I pray that before the president leaves office, that should be signed. That's what we initiated, and it's called Armed Forces Trust Fund Bill. What we wanted is that we will have a bill. Nigerian armed force should not be, when I say armed forces, this includes the Air Force, the AV, and what have you. Now, it should not be relied solely on annual budgetary cycles. There's no way you will fund the armed forces based on annual budgets. It cannot make it. It's not possible. So you need this bill so that people can even donate. The likes of Dangote, if they want to say, okay, we can donate military equipments, it may not necessarily be money. They can have a committee, they can donate this. Nigerians will donate to those areas, and then we agree that some percentages of the multinational corporations, okay, take just 1% from so area, so that we can be funding directly the armed forces. We will use those resources to fund. But if you are to rely on the budget cycle, the annual budgeting, there's nothing anybody can do about it. And lastly, let me tell you, Nigeria has a problem. Assuming we are even able to fund, and the Nigerian military or the armed forces are able to curtail the crisis, typical of Nigerians, they'll go back and rest. You understand the point? What people don't understand is that as far as the armed forces is concerned, whether you are in terms of time of war or peace, you will fund the armed forces adequately, because you don't know when the next crisis will come. So don't wait until a crisis erupts. Then you begin to say, okay, why are those MRAPs? Why are those APCs? You can't do that. We must continue to fund efficiently enough the armed forces till... That's why some big countries will begin to roll out their machines on an Independence Day to see what they have. But here, if we succeed, assuming we are able to defeat Boko Haram, whatever, people just, let's face another thing. But in the armed forces, this is not what is expected.
Just before we go, while you talk about the military and the need for them to be funded, and I recall that you also mentioned that the military is not supposed to be, men in military uniform are not supposed to be seen within the, by the public, at least within the streets, except on special duties. But then we find military men guarding politicians.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, whether whoever is guiding politician or not, once there's need to take personnel for a particular operation, they are always called upon to do that. Right now, I can tell you that Nigeria sends some of its personnel to Sudan. They are working on Guinea-Bissau. They are working on others. So long as they have all the data of the men they have, and they will always use them for what they
but specifically, the army. Should the army be guarding politicians, and in some cases, philanthropists, wealthy people in society who can afford their services? Should that be the case?
But the truth is that I don't even know which one you are talking about, as for example, as politicians.
I don't mean governors, I don't mean the president. I mean conventional politicians. Say you. You're chairman.
I am chairman.
You're chairman. I mean, I'm not.
I deserve to be.
It's as they say, your entitlement as chairman and orderly in your security detail. But beyond that,
I have not seen. I stand to be corrected. I have not seen one politician that is an army officer is deployed to that. You have not seen one.
So rightly, you condemn it if it is existing.
Yeah, I know that the armed forces that I know, they won't do that.
So you condemn it?
In my election, my brother, listen, as chairman army, I have never met the chief of army staff or to go to Yola, where I come from, that look, election is coming up, please can you help me with soldiers to...
No, Honorable Namdas, I want to get your take on it. Do you condemn it? While you say you haven't seen it, do you condemn it if it is indeed happening?
I condemn it, one. But I can even tell you that I don't want to use the word condemn before, because as far as I'm concerned, you have to prove to me that as chairman army, for the last 4 years I've been with them, I have not come across any politician, I've not come across any politician that has a security detail, is a soldier. No. Except if you have been in the army before, they have a trend that you are a general now, and then you decided to contest.
So once a general, always a
general. So you will look at him as a politician, but he is not. You understand? But he has that. They will never do that.
Very well, then, just before we go now, we have a new president coming in. What are your expectations of him, especially with regards to the National Assembly relationship that will translate to improved welfare for the people?
You see, if there's anything, that was why I told you initially that we have time. The National Assembly members will enjoy this time around, because the president happens to be at one time a senator, the vice president, serving senator. The wife of the president, a senator. We have people like the likes of him, Wajamila, speaker, close to him. We have the likes of Falake, they are close to him. We have even the national chairman of our party, a senator. The deputy national chairman of our party, a senator. So what I'm saying is that they have a lot of parliamentarians around them. With this, and some of us, the smaller ones that are around, we will never allow a scenario where the relationship between the National Assembly and the executive will have issues, like it happened in the 8th Assembly. We will never allow that, because we would like this government to achieve. And for it to achieve, whether people like it or not, they will need the National Assembly. And I believe that he will listen very well and work with them.
Absolutely. I like how you put yourself into the equation. It makes me want to ask you what's next for you.
No, I'm a young man, and I'm open to, you don't appoint yourself. When people find you worthy of certain offices, they will approach you. And sometimes it's not that, this is why Nigerians have issues. If you support a politician, you believe that
you're entitled.
You are entitled. You have this entitled mentality. If you don't get, just go back to the drawing board and work for it. You understand? I take what comes my way, so I have no problem. But I know that I'm a very young person, and I will continue to serve my country very well.
Honorable Abdulrazak Namdas, thank you very much for your time on Political Paradigm. I wish you well. As I always say to lawmakers who will not be returning, with whatever else you find to do after now, I wish you well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I'd like to thank you very much for your time as well. I've been speaking with Honorable Abdulrazak Namdas. He was an aspirant in the recently concluded governorship election in Adamawa State under the platform of the All Progressives Congress. He is the outgoing chairman of the House Committee on Army. Thank you very much for your time as well. You can catch this episode and others by simply going to YouTube and searching Political Paradigm, or simply go to channelstv.com. Thank you once again. I am Terry Ikumi. Goodbye.